So I'm outside the hospital setup for now. But yeah, I also have experience with in-hospital.
Yeah, through the surgical, when you're helping the surgeons, right?
Specifically,
Let's
yes.
talk a little bit about that, because I actually feel that a lot of times in Kenya, we are not quite well equipped to handle emergencies. So for example, if I'm at home with my child and then they get burnt, you know, first of all, I'll panic, scream, and all that. You know, for example, if let's say you're in a different country, like if you're in the US, you're going to call 911 and you're going to be taken through the procedure of what to do as you wait for the paramedics to come. So you are a paramedic. Are you attached to an ambulance, or do you work in a place where people can call you? How do people have access to you and your services?
So with paramedicine, we have different agencies, ambulance agencies. St. John's, Red Cross. Now we have many more. AMREF, yeah, we have
doctors.
Delta Rescue. AMREF is the flying doctor. We have Delta Rescue. We have so many. So what happens is that we have contacts for each ambulance. So at some point, you could contact the ambulances individually if you have their contacts. But you also have a dispatch center, as at now, that is kind of global.
When you say
which is Flare Rescue.
Delta Rescue?
No, Flare Rescue.
Flare Rescue.
So you will contact Flare Rescue.
Okay.
They will dispatch you to an ambulance that's available.
Okay.
Depending on the location, your geographical region, and also your condition. Because we have two types of ambulances. We have the BLS, which is basic life support, and advanced life support.
Okay.
For example, if you have a patient on a ventilator, they need an ALS ambulance.
Advanced life support.
Yes. So we have a dispatch center, which is Flare Rescue, that you'll contact. We have their contacts. So if you contact them, they'll dispatch you to the closest, the nearest ambulance to you. But again, if you have their if you have contacts of specific ambulances that you prefer of choice, like St. John or AMREF or Delta Rescue or Alpha, there's so many right now. You reach them directly. Yes.
Lillian, if you had an emergency at home, do you have that number on your phone?
I do.
Yeah. Which one do you have?
I think it's the Nairobi Hospital number.
Nairobi Hospital.
Yeah. But it's something I've thought about, and I think it's something we should tell, especially mothers, you know, to always have a number that you will call on emergency basis, because I think many of us we are blessed.
They will never come.
Yeah, we are blessed to see ambulances only in traffic, and you're like, bye ambulance.
No, you're trying to follow them.
Yeah, you're the siren clearing way.
Ambulance chasers.
And you know that's a blessing if you've never had to use an ambulance, but you should always know. So what I hear you saying, Betty, is that you're dealing with patients who have not been tested for anything.
Yeah, some are suspected, some are confirmed.
Yeah, you don't know what these people have, what you can contract. What are some of the, do you find yourselves taking extra precautionary measures than the other doctors to, you know, because there's so much uncertainty in that particular world you're in?
So as we speak with the COVID-19 crisis, all we do is assume everyone else is positive, as much as they could be negative. So we treat everyone else as a suspect, unless they're confirmed. So what we do is just put on our PPE, which is protective gear. So we treat everyone else the same way and try the best we can to protect ourselves. Yes.
Okay.
We've lost a lot of people also who have contracted COVID because of being in healthcare. So we really, I mean, it's very sad, but it's really an occupational hazard, because you try and protect yourself as much, but you still find that there are gaps that expose you. So it's quite a, I mean, it's a challenging task to be a doctor.
Who knew the day would come when, you know, many parents will tell their children, don't you dare join the army. But go and become a doctor. You know, whoever knew that the day would come when being in healthcare would be like being in the army.
And this is why we talk about everyone being responsible. The government, individually. We have kids in school, right?
We do.
How sure are you they keep the measures that are put in place? The young kids,
we are not sure.
They're not able to.
You can't keep up with that. A young kid, you're at work and all this.
You keep on encouraging all the time.
But again, you're not there. You see, so if maybe our schools, the system, and our government as a whole will play their role perfectly, we'd have you see, kids are queuing for breakfast or lunch. Do they keep social distance? Do you think they do? When they're playing in the field, Do they have their masks on? How certain are you? You're at work, you don't know. The teacher can't be there all the time. It's not always PE, you know.
Yeah.
So we always have a role to play in this. The government talk about congestion in town.
Yeah, even in town. It's really-
Especially when it's rush hour, because everyone doesn't want to be caught, doesn't want to be caught in traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miss their bus.
What do you do about that? You want to get a car, go home on time. What is the government doing about that? You see, so the government has a role that is so realistic to play in all this. How do we play around this?
Yeah, it's important, and it's important not to get tired, because what happens is that we're getting tired of even wearing masks. But
And
we
it's
need to
suffocating
just-
sometimes.
We need to just focus and remember we must, because it is important. And I'm happy that the vaccine is here. And you know, guess what? Have you? She of course it's starting with the healthcare professionals.
Yes.
And Betty has been vaccinated.
Yes.
I have.
Tell us, how was your experience?
We have different side effects. So
Before
for me,
before you do it, let me just say, all the photos going around are photos of mostly, you know, men in vests and, you know, I'm like, no, the ladies, but it's easy for us, you know, just wear sleeveless.
Yeah, you just wear sleeveless,
I
yeah.
saw a couple of photos and I'm like, okay. But you know, that was early days. It's okay. Now a lot of people have done it now.
Yeah.
In a lot of healthcare workers.
yeah, we have most of the healthcare workers taking this because you see we are at more risk.
Yes.
Having to deal with this every day, trying to save people's lives. So personally, I took it. We have different side effects based on individuals, you see. So I'd advocate for Kenyans to get this. If you have a chance,
How
get
did you
it.
feel? You know, you've gone through something which we have not gone through. So you went.
Preppers.
Yeah, preppers. You got the shot. Did you feel sleepy? Did you feel hungry? You know, there's so many myths going around. Please demystify
Yes,
everything.
I'll talk about my personal experience,
Yes.
but then this is based on individuals, different with every person. So for me, I got lethargy. Lethargy is like malaise, general body weakness. at some-
Immediately after, or after 5 hours?
like maybe a few hours.
Okay.
So I could feel a bit weak, the lethargy, and also had a crazy headache, close to a migraine. Yes, but people have different side effects. The COVID-19 vaccine has different effects on people. Some could get fever, headache like me, the malaise, some could get diarrhea, and also pain at the injection site. Yes, so it's different with different people.
Did you get pain at the injection site?
A bit, not like people explain it, some other people. For me, it's more of the malaise and the headache.
So that
Malaise?
happens-
For the... I wasn't sure because I know what it means.
Malaise.
Vocabulary. Malaise is to say that you're feeling very weak, sickly,
It's
tired.
a sort of fatigue.
Yeah,
you just
fatigue,
wake up
yeah.
tired.
Fatigue.
You just have general body weakness. You don't feel like waking up. You're just tired and you've done nothing. Ndo umeamka,
I'm feeling
you know?
so proud of myself for knowing something
Well
she's
done.
saying.
Well done, girl.
Yes.
Proud of you.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this vaccine, what about women who have lifestyle conditions?
Pre-existing conditions like
Pre-existing,
diabetes.
yeah. Can it cause allergic reactions? People who have, you know, there are people who have a tendency to allergic reactions to things.
They're very sensitive.
They are very sensitive, yeah.
Okay.
So personally, actually, if you look at it, this vaccine is actually more good. Like it's advocated for people who have underlying conditions first. More underlying conditions.
'Cause they're more at
The
risk.
only contraindication of this vaccine is you having allergic reactions to either components of the vaccine.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you have an allergic reaction to either of the components of this vaccine, it's not advisable for you to have it. Apart from that, it's actually best for people with underlying conditions, with conditions that are critical, you know, terminal illness and all these other illnesses.
Because those are the ones whose immunity is low.
Is
and who are
yes,
likely
suppressed.
to succumb to it. You know, it's funny when...
They
when-
should be a
when-
priority, actually, apart
They
from
should be a
healthcare
priority.
workers.
Yeah,
yes.
there's a priority. I think there's a priority. I mean, after healthcare workers, I think there was police, then teachers. I think there's a ladder that's being followed. You know, sometimes you're asked, what are you allergic to? And
Most
you
of us
only
don't know.
say none known. Because you
Not
don't
knowing.
know whether
You
you're
don't
allergic
know.
to the substances in the vaccine until you try
Yeah.
again. Then you realize.
But there are people who have things like sinusitis, eczema.
Yeah.
I am trying to think of others. You know those people who already have things, like conditions, allergic conditions. Would they be? Would you advise them to take?
So you see, if you know your condition, your exact condition, if you talk to these people who are giving you vaccines, they'd advise you best whether to have the vaccine or not.
Or not. Okay.
Yeah, because they know best.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Must take a lot of courage to. Do you feel like it takes more courage to take the vaccine or not to take the vaccine?
With all these misconceptions going around,
Yeah.
not confirmed,
Yes.
it takes a lot of courage for you. It's like a risk you're taking to have the vaccine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes a lot of courage.
Are you gonna? Would you
Have
take?
this.
I'm thinking about whether I would or not. I'm very generous. I mean, since I'm not in the front line, let the people who are in the front line first take.
Yeah.
Let the people who have underlying condition. Let me not be greedy to rush.
Yeah.
You know, but probably I'm there, but not yet there. I'm happy to follow the protocol.
I see the vaccine. But you see the beauty of all this.
I was getting out of that question like that, you know. And you know what? I wanted to say that's the first dose, right? You're going to go for a second one.
Yeah.
After how long?
Weeks. After 8 weeks.
After 8 weeks.
Yes.
And then is it second and final, or there's a third one?
It's second and final.
Second and final.
Yes.
Does it cost?
No, it's free. It's free of charge
For everybody.
For
Yes.
healthcare workers.
As of now, we are focusing more on healthcare workers.
So if anybody
So
who's not a
far,
healthcare worker,
it's
are they
free.
paying?
You see, now they're focusing more on them.
They're
They're the
focusing
people
more
who
on
getting
them.
this, because you have to produce some proof that you're a healthcare worker for you to
that's
get the vaccine, you see. But maybe with time they'll come up with a way to give it to other people
Yeah.
that I'm not sure about yet.
What about close family members of healthcare workers?
No, you don't have a license. You don't have proof.
No, that's a very
As
legit
of now,
question.
no.
Because the last 2 days,
Uh-huh.
doctors, there's a doctor I know who's having a funeral, and she got it and passed it to her mom,
Yeah.
who passed on, and her dad is in ICU, and her son is also in sick.
Yeah.
So I think we need to expand it a little, or allow. It's very difficult to not be close to your parents in this season, but I think it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay to
Ni ngumu.
to just pull back a little for the sake of their safety.
Sure.
Yeah, I think how does it maybe?
The beauty of all this is that, you see, as much as people have this misconception and they're skeptical about taking the vaccine, it's voluntary.
Yeah.
That's
You choose to have it or not.
But a lot of healthcare workers are actually going for it.
Yeah.
Actually, amongst the healthcare professionals, I've seen the uptake is quite high. And a lot of my doctor friends, nurses, you also, you're a healthcare worker.
Yeah.
And we commend you for accepting a solution.
Yeah.
Because you're in the front line, you also want to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that even as you're giving the care, you not be putting the patients you're dealing with at risk, you know? Yeah, so I commend you for that.
Thank you.
And I'm happy that the government is doing something to protect you, because we need our frontline army protected. So yeah, we really have anything to thank the government for, but we're thankful.
That's true.
Yeah, we're thankful for the initiative to safeguard their lives.
That's true. There's something I know people have been talking about a lot. I don't know, I might be being too ambitious to hope that I can finally put it to rest with this discussion. So when you get the vaccine, does it mean you will not get COVID?
You see, it takes roughly 2 weeks for the body to build the vaccine immunity.
Okay.
You see, so if you got exposed to the virus like a week before,
Yeah, you might.
like, after getting the vaccine, take a week and you're attacked by the virus, you'll get the COVID. But then when it's 2 weeks later, you're at a safer space. So for your body to build this immunity, it takes 2 weeks. So there are chances of you getting this risk of getting
within
attacked.
that 2 week period.
Yeah.
But also, you can get COVID, but the effects will be reduced because your body already has the antibodies to fight COVID, which you did not have before.
I also got a question of people asking, I already got COVID before, should I take the vaccine?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should. You
Okay.
should. Unless, if you got the treatment or maybe you're on treatment, you should do it for roughly 90 days before you get the vaccine. But it doesn't mean if you had COVID before, you can't get the vaccine. No, you can. 90 days later, you get the vaccine if you got the treatment.
Okay.
Yes.
So basically, you can't really say, no, you will not get COVID.
No, you won't get the vaccine because you
no
had
yes,
COVID. No, you can get the vaccine. If you got the treatment, 90 days later, you get the vaccine.
It's just that the effects will be milder. That's basically what vaccines are about. Making sure that when you get the disease, it's mild, a mild form. Yeah. So I hope that, well, there's the whole science behind it. There's been a lot of research.
Yeah.
So I hope that, there's a lot of fear around the vaccine.
Another concern I had heard is that it was discontinued in some countries because of people who reacted to it negatively and either became sick for admission, or people who died. I don't know if it's 2 people who died from the after effects of the vaccine, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we have countries like Denmark, which discontinued the vaccination due to people complaining of blood clots.
Yeah.
I can't really justify that, but you see, we have different genetic compositions, races and all this. So I can't really say that you shouldn't get it or you should. You see, the researchers are still doing this to confirm whether it's based on certain factors. But so far, people should get it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because in Kenya, locally, have you heard of anyone complaining of the same?
No.
And people are having it. Have you heard of any healthcare worker come say, I got clots? Unless you have clotting issues, for example, people with blood clotting issues, yeah, maybe then it's considered as a factor.
Speaking of clotting, we can then jump into endometriosis, which is in line with your menstrual health initiative. But just before we tuingie hapo kwa menstrual health,
another question, Bani.
No, ni hapo kwa endometriosis. So endometriosis is about blood outside where it's not supposed to be. And sometimes fragments of it will travel around the body. So someone who has endometriosis or some menstrual health related issue, can they get the vaccine? Is it advisable?
Why not?
Because of the clotting.
What is endometriosis?
Endometriosis, that's exactly what I was thinking of saying. That before let's not assume that everybody knows what endometriosis is.
Yes.
It's become very common in the recent past. And I like what you said before we came to the show. We're normalizing pain a lot.
Yes.
So endometriosis has got to do with period pain.
Yeah.
And people tend to think that it is normal to have extreme level of pain during your menses, and they have accepted that. What are your comments about that?
You see, first, don't normalize period pain. Listen to your girls when they tell you they're in pain. You see, anything that affects you as a woman from doing your daily activities is not normal.
Yeah.
Period pain is there, yes, but then if it affects your daily activities, it's not normal. You see, with endometriosis, the blood doesn't really necessarily flow where it should. It goes outside of the endometrium. You see, it could be thoracic, like for some people we know in the country, not to mention names. So
I think you can mention, because she's an ambassador of that.
Yeah, we have Jambi Kwekai. A few of you people know her.
Yeah,
She's really baffled with that.
She's had
a rare condition, which is thoracic endometriosis.
Yeah.
So the blood flow is outside her endometrium. It goes to the lungs.
You know, you're assuming that we're
The endometrium is a layer of the uterus. Yeah, you see, how you have your periods is the contraction of that wall and the shedding of it.
Yes.
So for her, it doesn't happen normally like it should. It's at the lungs. That's why she has a rare condition known as thoracic endometriosis.
So it's basically having the endometriosis.
The shed outside the endometrium.
Outside the
that
wall,
layer of the uterus that should be shaded. So it's not inside that region, it's outside. It could be anywhere, which is so rare anyway. Now you see, now we have more girls experiencing the same. People assuming it's period pain, deal with it. Painkillers, they're not working. You can't have this every time. They're actually not working. You see?
I have a question. You know, when you say we should not normalize period pain, it can be a bit confusing because the way that we understand period pain, it means that for the lining to shed, there's got to be contractions, and when there's contractions, there's a bit of pain. So you're saying that there should be no pain at all, and then I'm wondering, thoracic endometriosis, was the pain like around the chest, or was it all around the womb? This area.
When you talk about don't normalize this pain, we all have this pain. Not all of us. Some people actually don't experience pain at all. So, but for those who experience it, they could actually still carry out the activities.
Yeah.
But when it's affecting your daily activity, you can't go to work, you can't do anything, then it's a concern.
Yeah.
Probably you should see a gynecologist. So when it's a concern is when it affects your daily activities.
Right.
That's when they talk about don't normalize this pain. Women themselves should listen to their bodies.
Yes.
And tell this is normal, this is not, what's the progression, how do I feel about this? You see, and communicate and see a gynecologist.
Yes.
And then when we talk about thoracic, you see someone like Jambi had accumulation of fluids at her chest because her shade was where? At the chest cavity, the thoracic cavity.
Okay.
Yeah, you see. So instead of the uterus, instead she could collapse. I've heard a story. She could collapse sometimes out of pain. No one understood this. Understood the experience. They're like, you're having periods. It's normal. There's no treatment for periods. Why are you actually complaining?
A lot of women say to the women who say they have a lot of pain, they say, I also used to have, but mine ended. Or I also have, but I usually take ABCD painkiller.
But you see,
They even have you to normalize it.
Yeah.
We're encouraging you to
Me
go
too.
to the guy.
Yeah.
Me too. Guess what I do? Take this. If it doesn't work, get a stronger one.
Yeah.
And you're thinking that you're giving good advice, but you're actually preventing somebody from seeking medical help.
We have different experiences, and the pain shouldn't be extreme to a point that you can't function. If it gets to that point, your parents are not listening, your colleagues, your friends are not listening, seek advice from the gynecologist. Because then it could be something way severe, like endometriosis, which most people don't know about.
But well, having said that, is there a cure for it? Because there's, when I've been on some Facebook groups where it's talked about, it seems to be that either there's no cure, or is the cure surgical, or I'm not very clear about that.
From what I understand, researchers are still working on this, but so far we don't have a cure for endometriosis, though we have management.
Okay.
We have management of endometriosis, not a cure yet, because it's not a common condition. It's there, but then most people don't learn about it, don't know about it, because they assume period pain is normal, which is the very first sign.
Yeah.
You see?
And you see, a lot of women, there's this thing of kuvumilia.
Strong.
Women, we're strong. Like, we should just hang in there, just suffer, continue suffering.
I know. It's like the more you suffer, the more woman you are.
Like there's a crown.
Yeah, it's like there's a badge.
And
then when you get to that side where you've suffered, now you're about to die, you realize, there was no badge.
There's no badge. Yeah.
And that's what it's surrounding that. Yeah. You won't get kids. You're not so sure about that, you see. Or if you get kids, period pain will stop. It doesn't happen for everyone.
Of course, hang in there.
They're not confirmed.
No, but at least if you get to menopause, for sure it will end because...
the period pain.
Because the whole menses ends. But should you wait until you're at menopause?
And suffer.
Wait, is it true that it will end?
Also, how sure you get this first kid, it will stop?
And what about
how confirmed is it?
Because of menopause will it end?
It's not been confirmed yet. I'm not sure.
Who knows?
I'm not sure.
Who can tell us?
Unless we find one,
it's not been confirmed. But that's what doctors say when something
public. And you think people suffer from this, they even don't know it's endometriosis.
They don't
struggle all the way, get to menopause. It probably stops. Some get kids, it still pushes on, and they assume it's just normal period pain. You see?
I think that the role of paramedics is so critical because there's a video I watched the other day of a gentleman who is a sportsman who actually had a heart attack, but then luckily somebody saw him collapsing and was able to give you see what I'm doing? CPR. Nothing. And bring him back to life. Imagine he actually came back. So you see, a lot of people. Hold on. Let's stop, but we'll come back and pick it up from there. Do you want me to stop?
No.
Oh, okay, sorry. There was a video going around where somebody actually had a heart attack, and I was just going to say that the role of paramedics is so important because I feel there are a lot of things we can do before that can make a difference in the outcome.
Oh, yes.
But because of lack of knowledge, a lot of things get out of hand, and nothing can now be done. Do you feel like as a country we are doing enough to give that help
Support.
before?
Not necessarily. Personally, if you ask me, in the morning I woke up and thought to myself, what if you see how mathematics as a subject is very much compulsory? What about if we made first aid a priority?
Oh my, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That is so powerful.
Maybe come up with levels if you're in, I don't know, not the grading, but in class 8, which I'm so used to, and maybe from 4.
Yeah.
People have to be taught how we have PE, physical exercises. Make it a first aid class, because you'll have your parent or someone have an emergency and you have the knowledge of what to do. Snake bite, what should I do? Difficulty in breathing, what should I do? You see, as a young kid, you have knowledge in class 8 and from 4. So by the time you're out there, being compulsory, you'll have learned, you'll have gained some knowledge. You see,
choking.
choking, which is very
things,
common. You see, all these things. What if we made first aid a compulsory class or lesson or subject? Maybe we could help a lot of people. I don't feel like we're doing much. We assume this is for healthcare workers. Let me tell you, most people have what we call ignorance. Yeah, we have people who could Google this, but who wakes up in the morning and think of headache? What do you do in cases of headache? You see, but what if it was a compulsory skill that you have to gain? You see, you'll work towards this. You'll have a way of helping someone, and will save more lives. You see, some people, you have someone who has something like we call orthopnia. Orthopnia is a condition where you have difficulties in lying flat. If you lie flat, you won't breathe. You see, and this applies to patients with maybe lung issues or kidney and sometimes heart. And then you'll find that your patient, your parent or relative or friend, the person next to you in the house has difficulties in breathing once they lie down. And for you, like, try lie down, you're forcing them to lie down because you think it will help. Pumzika, to have some rest, you'll get better. But then you're killing them slowly. But if you have this knowledge of, if a patient has orthopnia, they should not lie flat because it will bring about, they should be in some position which is a bit raised from this front part. If you had that knowledge, you could save their life. But if you force them to lie down in the name of their having rest, they could pass.
And those are basic things. It's not rocket science.
So I recently was assisting someone who had just come from surgery. And I was able to assist her very well because I've been in surgery before. So I kind of knew the details. One of the details is when you're fresh out of surgery, that thing for lying flat is sometimes impossible even. So you have to really raise the bed, and not like for one pillow. Like there's a way you stack the pillow so that it's reclined. And so what I found was that all the people in the house didn't know that. And so even the sick person didn't know that.
Nobody told us.
I think no one knew.
But she was like, wow, thank you so much.
It made a huge difference. That's what she's saying. That we should,
one out of 5 having the knowledge.
You know that because you went through it.
Exactly. It's not because I read. It's not because, I'm not ignorant. But
you say it was part of your curriculum. You could be knowing this at some point. Which is essential.
All right. That said, I think we should go for our break, and we'll be right back. Don't go away. The conversation is so interesting, isn't it? See you soon.
While driving, the streets were empty and not a single soul was around. Actually, it scared me, but then I thought I couldn't afford to be scared for too long. I was stopped and checked at every junction. Sometimes even the bunks denied petrol. But I found a way out, as going back home was not an option for me. These halls, these corridors and these labs were where I needed to be each day. And I made sure of that, no matter what. A lot of labs stopped taking samples for cancer diagnosis in the beginning. But our lab continued. There were lives at stake here too. and we made sure each and every one of them was given a timely diagnosis. Soon every lab began rejecting samples for immunofluorescence tests too, because there was a greater risk of contacting COVID. There was fear, but there was also our responsibility towards our patients. We continued accepting these samples and did a record number of tests despite the risks. I missed not a single day at work. I traveled during curfew, I traveled during heavy rains. I was nearly shunned by the neighborhood and dealt with the fear of exposing my family to the virus. But deep inside, I just knew that all I had to do was show up to work alongside my team because lives depended on it. I believed everything would be okay. There were challenges. They uncovered my fears, but they also introduced me to my strengths. I have learned that journeys like these are about taking one step back and two forward.
Mziki right here on your number one TV station, GBS TV. My good name is Hypolar the Experience. You can call me Moja Safi. Ukumazel the best TV ever. Lafu shoni gani Eko Mziki SMS line 21144.
Tunakuchezea zile ngoma mpya zenye zimekuwa zikitokea hii wiki.
Anytime ulizia bila God nikulia na wakinigeuzia. I know you got me God, yeah you got me God.
Kautamu, kautamu, kautamu. Nikisa maneno nasikia kautamu.
Ati wanauliza gospel imedu bisa CMC we have to do. So Bible now we hand, so we physically, spiritually, lyrically, mentally.
Leo manze tuko na wasanii wa daily ndani ya nyumba. Tuko na muziki kali, tuko na countdown kali. Yaani kila kitu leo iko fresh. Chukua sharubati, hiyo ni juice hapo. Mpaka juu mguju ya meza.
Triple.
Yeah.
Tumia mtu salamu pale mali unakulanga chapo dondo.
Nani mimi? Walifunga.
Everywhere, GBS.
Amazing conversation we are having here with Betty Bosibori from the healthcare sector. We are celebrating women in healthcare. And remember to keep locked on the conversation on @GBS TV Africa, and our SMS line is 2244. Please keep in touch. Keep in touch. We want to hear your thoughts. And we were just talking about making paramedics a compulsory, not paramedics, first aid. Yeah, compulsory subject at least at one point or another during that whole academic process.
Yeah.
And you asked us a very interesting question on the break.
Yeah, she was like, what do you do if somebody is struggling to breathe? You know, that's a major symptom of COVID.
Yeah.
And, you know, what most people do is they want you to relax, like to not be fatigued. So they tell you to lie down.
Lie down. Yeah.
Lie down.
Sit down. Sit back.
Lala tu kidogo utasikia vizuri.
It's so confusing. Yeah. We don't have a very good awareness of it.
What to do.
What to do. Yeah.
And she's basically, Betty, you're saying that is the worst thing to tell somebody who cannot breathe.
Yeah, because you see, we have different causes of people having to end up in this situation where you can't breathe. You see, a good example is what you call orthopnia. Orthopnia is where you can't breathe or you have difficulties, what you call dyspnea, in breathing once you lie flat. And this applies mostly to patients who are affected by, kidney issues, lung issues, or heart issues. So if you're insisting on making this patient lie flat, they won't sleep, they won't be comfortable, they won't breathe. At some point, if you check the oxygen saturation in the body, it will be dropping. You see, it should be 100%, lowest 95% probably. But now, if you force them to lie flat, they'll have issues with breathing. But you see, most of us laymen will be like, if you sleep this way, if you lie down this way, you'll be comfortable. No, you should understand why this patient is insisting on being in a certain position and what is the best position for most of the breathing issues. You see, most of it is what we call a tripod position. Yeah. Where you sit up, put your legs apart, and lean forward. You see, it's very comfortable for most patients who have breathing issues. But now most of us, even heart attack patients, what do? You don't know what to do, so what you think is putting them in a position of comfort, which assumingly is lying flat, you see. So that's how we kill most of our patients.
Or even reclining back, you
see, because they're still straining. They want to be in an upright sitting position.
On your heart and everything. So this whole, that's what you're basically saying, feet apart.
Open your legs and try to lean forward. It's comfortable for most patients who have breathing issues, even heart attack to start with. You can't put them lying flat. You see, you'll stop the breathing, you'll stop the life, thinking you're helping. So some of it is ignorance, negligence, and lack of information.
And lack of information. You have the right hand, but you don't have the skill. Because when you tell it to lie down, it's not that you want to kill them.
It's
that you want to make it easier for them. But you don't know.
The way you think it would be easier for you.
When you're tired, what do? You recline.
You lie down. So wacha tuseme, all of us as women, let us buy a small book on first aid.
Since it's not attend the first aid course if your schools, if our schools can provide that, can't approve of the same. We have institutions that teach first aid. I did my own, as much as I had the knowledge of the same from all the other careers I have, the courses I have. I did my own occupational first aid at Red Cross. It's a week. It's roughly 7,000 Kenyan shillings.
It's a good investment.
You see? Or actually 4 days, 7,000 Kenyan shillings. It's worth it. You'll save a life from learning this.
Sometimes even your own child or a spouse or a parent.
A friend, a neighbor.
I'm just wondering about how you went into healthcare.
What is it that made you get?
Are your parents in healthcare?
No, they're not at all. I have... My parents are actually in different careers, but I love helping people. I really love helping people, be it physically, mentally, spiritually, and that's why I run an initiative actually that is known as Care by Betty initiative.
Care by Betty.
But at what point, is it when you were in primary or you were in
Since I was a young kid.
So for you it was clear that you were going to be in healthcare. You're not confused about it. You knew that's the line you want to follow.
I had to force my way there. If it wasn't going to work, if I didn't get the grades, I would still find a way to pursue healthcare. Yes, because I love helping people a lot, and I believe that you don't have to be rich.
No, you don't.
You don't have to be famous. You don't have to have this, education for you to help someone. Trust you me, and what you have, I probably don't have, and vice versa. So we all have something to give out. And vice versa. I could get something from you.
That's true.
You could get something from me. We all have something to give out, and you don't lack by helping someone. So I was so into helping people, and I thought medically was the first way to go. And then now with the girls, just helping. I'm so passionate. I love people. So healthcare was the way.
And since you're passionate, it's easy for you. No wonder at such a young age, you already have your own initiative, Care by Betty, where you what is the story behind Care by Betty? Did you just decide to do it without any push, or did an incident inspire you? Or was it something you were thinking, like you saw a problem that you're solving? How did Care by Betty come to be?
So initially, remember, I love helping people, right? Confused at a young age, I don't know how to help. No finances, nothing. But again, at some point, when I was a bit older, I went somewhere in Turkana and saw a young lady sat on sand. The lady was seated on sand. This is very emotional. She was seated on sand in Turkana. We get there, we sing hi to everyone, but then she can't stand up because she was at a certain...
She was isolated.
A little bit
on the side.
And we asked a certain one, why can't she stand up and say hi like everyone else is doing? And she was like, she has to stay there because she's on her menses. And the sand is the only thing to absorb the blood. Because they can't afford 50 bob. Or 40 bob to raise sanitary towels, which is roughly 10 pieces to run her through the entire cycle. And that really moved me. I didn't have a way. I didn't know what exactly to do. But then afterwards, last year, actually 2020, Cortex came up with a certain campaign. They have annual nomination of young women in the society that they feel like are inspirational, motivational. They have an impact on the society. So they give out public nominations. The public decides who they feel like is doing something according to them positive to impact the young girls. And there I was nominated, shortlisted by Cortex, and I was able to win the contest. And I became a Cortex honoree, like a brand ambassador. So, and I was like, someone nominated me somewhere.
Do you know who that person is?
I don't. I wish I knew her or him. I could just go to them and just...
No, she doesn't know the person.
Tender women in the
That is fantastic.
That person believed in me. And that was really moving. I was like, if this person believes in me, why can't I just give back to the society, especially our young women? And I was like, remembering that story, let me use what I have to impact the society. And that's when I started to just found the Care by Betty initiative. When I was just raising sanitaries from friends, relatives, and people who are willing, people who share the same dream, to help the girls. So that's how I started helping people.
I'm so inspired by that.
Me too.
The fact that somebody actually nominated her, she doesn't even know who the person is, and then she won. Imagine it. I know maybe for you, you think it's
you can imagine how many youth we have in Kenya.
I know,
it was open to everyone. You didn't have to be in the healthcare system. You didn't have to be.
How did you feel?
I was so grateful. I was humbled by that. You see.
So did you get a phone call? Okay, or at what point in the competition did you come to be aware that you've been nominated? So do they call you?
So they don't have your contact at first because it's not biased on anything.
Random,
It's so random. So the fact that people believed in me, nominated me, I think Cortex were vetting and they felt like I was supposed to be part of the list. And they contacted me through Instagram. They sent me a DM, then afterwards an email, contacts, phone calls.
It all happened on social media.
Look at that. And there are so many people who are saying that social media is negative, but there are so many
positive.
Yeah, there are so many ways to use it positively.
That's true.
Is it do you do your publicity on social media, or how do you do your publicity?
Well, as much as I seem bubbly in all this, I'm an introvert. I really use my social media to do specific things. Specifically, I try to create medical awareness, some conditions. I try to do more of medical stuff and girl stuff on my social media, if you check it out, So if I feel like today we should talk about ulcers, for example, cancer, on my stories, on my page, I'll focus on that. Okay. So I use my social media to create more awareness of medical issues that we're dealing with on a daily. Yeah.
And there's something else we had spoken about on the break, the issue of the general public trusting men in healthcare more than women.
Do you find that happening to you as well?
It happens.
The bias.
It happens sometimes because now people base it on many things unless you have good papers or, but there's this inferiority to do with women more than men. Most of us are soft.
Yeah.
Remember we're emotional.
Yes.
So there's this stereotyping of women are emotional, how they'll handle this is not how men will handle it.
Yeah.
Women can't get these grades or their grades are favored, So then you end up being treated a bit on the low than men. But it's not the thing. We actually, let me talk about being emotional. If you think we're emotional, it's a good thing.
Yeah,
because then we're more attached to your stories.
We're pathetic.
Yeah.
And you know what? We don't have a lot of time. And I can't even believe that the time is already up. As you give your parting shot, talk a little bit about the challenges you face and what we can do to make it easier. And remember, it's a parting shot so that we can wrap up the show after that.
So some of the future, there are many, but to mention a few, as healthcare workers on the front line, we have insufficiency of PPEs in some institutions. We also deal with trauma. Remember, we are human beings, yeah? So it's emotional when we lose lives. It's emotional when we have to deal with all this. Also, we have things to do with family time. You see, we don't get to spend enough time with our families, and they feel like you're not caring to us, you're caring to other people. We also face hostility. Family members from this deceased or people affected with certain conditions, even COVID, and they lose their lives, feel like you didn't do your best, we give your best, and they'll attack you sometimes. No one will be there to help you. It's a calling, something we'll have to do, so you have to face it, as we move forward.
Yeah, I'm happy that you've said that, because when you're on the other side, sometimes you don't really, you're not empathetic with the healthcare workers.
Yeah.
The fact that they have also felt a loss.
Yeah.
And you don't mention that we get scared sometimes. We also get scared facing this. Because it doesn't mean we're immune to this COVID thing. It's a monster that will attack anyone, prominent to the less fortunate, adults and, the young ones. So we're also human. We're scared of the same. We're scared of all these things. Not delivering to our patients as they expect, not being there for our families. It's like you're missing on something, We don't have the me time. It's a challenge because we remember that we have the sick people who are depending on us.
Yeah. Wow, what a lovely show from such a young person who's already been awarded. Shout out to Cortex for recognizing the work that you're doing.
Thank you,
and making a difference in the lives of women. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure. And remember, tenda wema, nenda zako. Let's continue to celebrate women. Let's choose to challenge, because the more we challenge things, the more we're going to find that the things that we found to be challenging, we have been able to overcome them. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.